Hey guys, welcome back on the channel. This is my follow-up video from yesterday when I showed you how you can start making money with PancakeSwap in 2025. So that was the bare basics for you to have an overall understanding of how everything works with liquidity pools, DEXs, blockchains, all of that. You need to understand the basics. Now, I'm going to show you a little bit further, a step further than that, which is choosing a token pair and from there on simulating. And once again, I sorted this out by volume for the past 7 days because I like bigger time metrics. But we will use another tool, METRIX Finance, later on in the video that it will allow us to backtest for at least 3 months. In the free version is 3 months. If you go pro, you can go for I believe of over 365 days over backtesting for 1 year. So I think you don't really need, as a complete beginner, the pro version. You need to just understand the basics, but at some point you will see that you are already in the game, and then you can move on to those higher level tools that will definitely help you to manage your positions and assess more depth of information. But in any case, we will consider this pair BTCB with RapPNB because, like I told you in my previous video, these are two very well correlated tokens, so impermanent loss will not bother you all that much, and they are heavily traded. You will see this pair consistently being in the top 10 at the very least for the whole year of 2025. I can most certainly see that coming already. So this is a pool that performs really well. You can even backtrack here for how much fees it has been generating for the whole year, almost on a daily basis. It's like I said on the previous video, sometimes it will print, sometimes it will have lower amounts of volume. It mostly depends on the markets. But now it has consistently seen a more stable amount of fees being generated. We're very close in on 10K, except today, which so far it has been a very low trading volume, so it has not generated all that much in fees, 3.57K. But this is where tools like, for example, METRIX Finance come to play. You can select the exchange here. We'll go with PancakeSwap. The network is BNB, and then the pair is BTCB paired with BNB. Now we can select the fee tier, which is 0.05%. That's the pool that we were just looking at. And then we click simulate. This is again available in the free version. And the most powerful feature that you can get from here is just to backtrack your price ranges. And that's where most people find their first barrier when starting to provide liquidity to concentrated pools, concentrated liquidity or V3 pools. You see, for example, the price volatility is even showcased here. There's other stuff like correlation, geometric mean, which are blocked. These are just for pro users, but price volatility for the past day, 5%. So let's have an idea of what that could mean in terms of revenue. I'm even doubling, so overall we have a 10% range, which would comfortably account for the volatility, and that would bring us with $1,000 deposited to a monthly earning of 10%, yearly 129%, $3.54 a day. But of course, this is just accounting for the past 24 hours. Preferably, you would want to backtest for a bit longer. So what we have here on screen, this is the calculation range for the past 30 days. And you can see that this price range wouldn't really perform all that well looking at the backtesting data. There's big amounts of the month here, mostly December the 10th up until the 23rd, something like that. You would be out of range very, very often, almost all the time. So this is not the preferred range to be set for performance. So we definitely need to lower here the minimum. We could even go a little bit tighter here. And then the upper side, we could also lower it down a little bit, something like that. So overall, we're talking about 15%. Let's put it an even 15%. So yeah, like so. This would earn us in fees $2.29 for $1,000 investment. Again, this is a very reliable simulator, but it's based on past performance. But this is the power of backtesting. It allows us to take up old data and set up predictions based on that. Then we could look here at the liquidity distribution and see, okay, so we very close to our upper range, there's going to be a distribution in liquidity which we can take to our advantage. So we could just widen this a little bit more, just so in case that if the price falls into this range, and you can see the range on screen, how much 1 BNB can buy you worth of Bitcoin, BTCB in the case, but you can also switch things around if you don't like to see all those zeros. And you can see here how much 1 Bitcoin would buy you worth of BNB. So the current price range, the current market shows us that 1 Bitcoin equals to 132.5 BNB. If the price goes to 1 Bitcoin being worth 125 BNB, so in that case, there's not much liquidity here and we have our range very close to that. So we can definitely come down here and adjust. And just by clicking here in the minimum, you see that it's already adjusting also on the liquidity distribution. So right now with the range here, it means that if the price falls here until the market adjusts, so there would be an hour, a couple hours where the APRs would be much higher than currently, just because of that. There's not as much competition. So if your ranges are very close to these liquidity distribution dips, it's also advisable for you to account for that, and maybe you want to widen up the ranges a little bit more, just in case that when the price goes into this zone, you get to profit with a much higher APR until the market adjusts. Of course, in that case, since you are working with a wider range, your estimated fees will be going down, but it will make up for it in the event of the price going here into this dip. Of course, it also depends how long it would stay there and how fast would the markets adjust, but these are just some things you should be aware of. But anyways, this is how you can use the free version of METRIX Finance to backtest, set up ranges. There's other tools you could use like Revert Finance. I'll bring that here on the channel in one of my upcoming videos. So if that interests you, make sure you hit like, subscribe. You can apply this to any pool in any DEX. METRIX Finance does support a ton of different blockchains, DEXs. Also, one of the reasons why it's one of my favorite liquidity managers is just because of that. All the options they offer mainstream DEXs. They also offer on Solana. Usually you don't find this on other tools for managing your liquidity and gathering information on liquidity pools. Also, they support Aerodrome and Velodrome, which again, you don't see that often. So overall, I do think this is a great tool. If you want to go with the pro version, I'll have a link down in the description. It will get you your first 30 days for free, so you can start enjoying the platform and making the most out of it. But like I said before, if you're a complete beginner, don't worry about it. Your focus should be on understanding liquidity pools and how everything works. Don't start running before you know how to walk, so to say. All right, so this range that we just simulated on METRIX will bring us for over 5% a month and 63% a year, both paid in BNB and BTCB. This is great for growing a bag of Bitcoin and wrap BNB over the how long you want to provide liquidity. Remember, you can definitely take liquidity out at any point in time, but I tend to play this the long run. Now, what we are going to do, we found out our minimum and maximum 123.5 and 152, and then we will go back here on PancakeSwap and add that minimum 123.5 and 152 as a max price, and that is going to be our ranges. So the APR is showcasing here 27% APR, and after we deploy liquidity, we can then go and lock the liquidity pool tokens on the farm to get these further 6%, almost 7% paid in cake. Now there's also this option here that shows us the fee tier that we are currently going to deploy liquidity in. You can choose others, but this is the one that we just performed the simulation for. Remember, you look it up here, it's going to be on the 0.05% fee tier. Now, if you choose another, you are going to deploy into other liquidity pools, and that will mess up the simulation because there's going to be different volume and also different liquidity in other liquidity pools. So pay attention to that, all right? Now, a cool thing also about PancakeSwap is that currently, let me click here on Max, they added the zap in feature. So this is really cool because you no longer need to add up both tokens within the pair. Usually when you provide liquidity, that's what you will need to do. And depending on how your liquidity is deployed, for example, this range is not 50-50. It's not 50% on the downside and 50% on the upside. So that would lead, and you can see it here, into different amounts of tokens to be needed to be deployed for you to open your position. But the zap feature takes all of that out of the way. You can click here and then it gives you the option to just add whatever amount you want from each tokens that you have on your wallet, or you can even take those out and add others. Like for example, you can go with USDT. You can go even with tokens that are not even part of the pair. What will happen, and they show it here on the right side, is that they will send the transactions, the needed transactions, the swaps. These tokens will, after all, need to be swapped for both in the pair, but you don't need to do it manually. They do everything in the back end, and you end up with turning these tokens into BTCB and RapBNB and deploying them as a liquidity pool position. Now, once you have your farm all deployed, set up, it starts generating fees straight away. You don't have to do anything. It's completely passive. As long as it is in range, it will generate you fees. But then remember, you'll need to come here and find it under all pools or under your positions, and then you can deploy your LP tokens into the PancakeSwap's farms. That will grant you access to the farm APR, which is paid in cake. That will also only work, it will only provide you that farm APR while the liquidity pool position is within range. So that's why it is super important to don't be greedy, don't set up very tight ranges and go wider. And that's why I made this video showing you how you can back test. Now, we didn't went full on conservative when back testing. We could have gone way beyond that and had a lower APR even. For example, we could have gone here and instead of 30 days we would set up to 90 days, and then you could see here the minimum 105 and the maximum 160. So if you set up those ranges here, 105 as a minimum and 160 as a max, that would lead us to have a monthly earning of 2%. So that's going to be for each day 70 cents for $1,000 investment. It might seem a bit underwhelming, but you'll have to remember also that we're talking about getting fees from blue chip assets, getting fees in Bitcoin, in BNB, and this can easily be a way for you to stack sats. And although it might seem to be not earning all that much, but if Bitcoin, not if, but when it goes from 100K to 200K, these cents suddenly double, right? So have that perspective also. And that's again why I keep saying to you, this is a long-term type of play. Now, also important when it comes to fees, BNB Smart Chain, when you're going to deploy liquidity and also stake in the farms, you will have to pay a couple dollars the most. It's not the most expensive blockchain when it comes to that, not by a long shot, but there's others which are much lower in fees. You pay a couple cents, 10 cents, 20 cents overall to do the same thing. So if you are going with a smaller bag here, like 2 digits, $50, $100, it can definitely take up to more than a couple days until the volume that you generate in fees makes up for the cost, which is to deploy the position, all right? But in any case, once you set up this system, it's generating you passive income. You can claim at any point in time. It's up to you. And also, by the way, in case you are completely new to the game, once you claim, you still pay gas fees. It's not going to be anything extraordinary, but that also is a cost effectively when you consider the whole thing that you have set up. Whenever you interact with a position, set up a new range, withdraw, every single interaction of those comes at a cost in the form of gas fees, all right? Of course, if you're talking about if you have a bag of $1,000 or more, that is negligible when it comes to BNB Smart Chain, for example, or other Ethereum layer 2s, but these are all the things you should consider, all right? So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Check out METRIX Finance. And if you want to know more about yield farming, also check out the Underdog investor group by Crypto Labs. I am affiliated with them once again, but it gets you 20% off on your first month. It's a group, a community of people who are focused on yield farming, and there's a ton of free resources there so you can deepen your understanding and knowledge and even fast forward it by being a part of the community. In any case, if you have any questions, you are always welcome to drop a comment. I'll get back to you. Start making money with crypto in 2025. Like and subscribe to get more information on it from my channel, and I'll see you on the next one.